Welcome to the Inspiration Hour with Luce M. Mack, as we inspire by sharing real people's stories and their exhilarating journeys. We all learn by sharing our gifts and talents through the power of talking with one guest at a time. Get cozy, get your favorite nighttime drink, and let's get ready to be wowed with inspiration.
So welcome, everyone. Thank you for another hour of Inspiration Hour with Luz. And I am so excited. And of course, I'm going to say I'm always excited about all my guests. But this guest is like my pal. He's my best friend. We met in the workplace, I want to say 2019. We both connected over our love of art and other things. And we also connected in a deeper level in our area of work. We were both needing and wanting more out of life, and we didn't know how to go about it. But before I bring on our guest, I want to read your bio so you could get a good idea of who he is, and what he represents. So Gerold Shellbair is a photographer in the New York area. Photography sparked Gerold's interest by watching his father capture pictures and record events for friends and family as a child. He enjoys to capture candid images that provoke dialogue and drive emotion. Gerold specializes in events, lifestyle, and editorial photography. Gerold has photographed a wide range of events, companies, and people, including, but not limited to, President Barack Obama, President 44, and the 16th Annual Cape Town International Jazz Festival in South Africa, Curlfest in New York, Curlfest in Atlanta, and professional sporting events and magazine, publications, weddings, corporate events, product, maternity, and family portraits. Most of all, Gerold enjoys capturing pictures that make you relieve or feel you are in the moment. And I have to say, I have witnessed your greatness in person, and I'm just so thrilled that photography is not just what he captures, he's truly an artist. And with that said, let's welcome Gerold. Hi, Gerold.
Thank you, Luz. Morning. I appreciate you making this space for us to have more dialogue and to share our story. So thank you.
No, I'm just honored that you're here because, so let me bring it back. This summer, before the summer ended, I got to experience your art. But before we start talking about that big event, we need to start way from the beginning, way before you became an artist and a photographer. So please explain a little bit more how you fell in love with photography and how it has led you to this moment in time.
Hearing you read my bio is like, wow, like sometimes you get going and you just realize that you really sometimes need to pause and appreciate the steps along the way, correct? So I have a love and passion for community, and hearing you talk about hearing you reread what I wrote, how, you know what I mean?
That's right. Let us sink in. That's you. That ain't me. That's you. Let's keep that correct. Okay, yeah. Fans, for you that don't know Gerold, he's a very humble human being. He's very centered, very spiritual, but I need him to just take in that moment. That is him. This is all him, all his beauty.
It reconfirmed and reminded me the source of my passion, which is community, community, and hearing how I was inspired by photography, watching my dad. Essentially what my dad was doing was harvesting and building community through his passion. And I watched that a little bit, and it was a way for him to document and have save the memories. But at the same time, the love and the passion he had for it helped him to find a way to build community around it, which is essentially what I've been doing. And now I wasn't able to articulate that until I heard you speak that. So thank you, Lucy.
No, you're welcome. And I think it's important because your dad played such a key role of being the source, and what was that moment in your childhood that you're like, oh, I want to do what my dad is doing? I'm sure he was capturing the smiles, the tears, the joys, and that kind of sparked your spirit. And I think that's important to know.
Very important. And also, I do not want to leave out my mother.
Oh, yes.
Was a major influence too, because my dad was doing his thing and my mother was like the glue of the family. She always was adamant about putting God first. She was always adamant about putting family first, and essentially community first, understanding your why and going towards it 200% at all times. My dad and my mom together, they were a force, and it's a great example. And I realized that I'm speaking from a place of privilege because not many people get to see that growing up. But at the same time, it was something, when you reflect and think about it, it's like many things that we are motivated by today was deeply rooted in our childhood and our passion. So.
Oh, well said. And I really admire your family. I had the privilege of meeting a lot of your family and friends support you um, at Seaport. But before me talking about it, I kind of want you to introduce what you did at Seaport that time and how did it change you? Because I got to see you go from the smiles to the tears, and it was like truly moving. It kind of works me up because to see someone enjoy their artistry and share with the world, you can't put that into words. Like you have to feel it. It's like a spirit. So can you tell me a little bit about that moment?
Wow. The Seaport. First of all, I want to big up my partner and friend in business for many years and friend of the family for many years, Sabrina Labossiere. She's my co-founder in the Slap Collective, but this was all her. The exhibit that she did, Inside Out, was all her. It was about basically what was your experience like in 2020 while you were inside, and what was it like inside looking out, and then what was it like inside, and then trying to re-experience outside for the first time. So funny story about this I planned, it's, the saying, tell God your plans and he'll laugh.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I planned on doing my own exhibit. I planned on doing my own exhibit this month in October, and excuse me, and I had the opportunity to display this work, and it was almost like, when God is ready, it's time, so let me step back a little bit.
Yeah.
uh in 2020, uh when I created these pieces that eventually was exhibited in the show, I wanted to, and it's because photography is so funny. Sometimes it's very intentional, and sometimes you're just capturing the moment. But I wanted to be very intentional about the message that I was sharing with the photos, because I wanted to represent me. And I know that I'm not the only one that experienced these things. So I thought it was very special and very important to share the feelings and the experiences and the knowledge that I've learned while spending time with myself in 2020. Uh, a group of photographers that we met up a long time ago, photographer by name James Malone, I had asked him one time, like, how do you keep your work different? How do you make it authentic? And he told me, and it's a great piece of advice. He shared with me what am I dealing with personally, and how am I getting through it, and share that, you know? So in 2019, I read a book by Purvis Taylor called Survival Mode. And the book was basically talking about 4 A's of alchemy, which is acknowledge, acceptance, articulation, and then you have alchemy. So the series was called Alchemy: The Rebirth. So spending time at home in 2020, it forced us all to slow down. It forced us all to think about our life, our experiences, and everything. And what I was talking about, childhood and everything, all those reflections came back. And also, we had a feeling where we wanted to keep things going the way that it was going and try to keep normalcy. But then it was also a awakening moment, like this wasn't really normal, you
Yeah.
know? So in my pieces, the 3 pieces that I exhibited, it was acceptance, acknowledge, and alchemy, the three pieces that I exhibited. And I'll talk about all of the A's so you can get a better idea. And then I'll go into the pieces, and I'll go into how the show happened. And then if you need me to add more, let me know. And if I'm saying too much, let me know.
No, I need to, I think it's important to talk about it, because I think for me, when I saw your pieces, and I know I'm not doing the pieces justice, I saw a Black man struggle. I saw a Black man show pain and vulnerability. And at the same token, I saw a Black man full of grace. And I'm talking from a mother of a Black child and a wife to a Black man. Conversations that we do not have in our community, we're having now. And I get a little emotional thinking about your pieces, because I saw the impact it did for you, and then the impact it did for our community. And I have to celebrate that. So I'm going to let you talk about it, because I think it's important. Like, these pieces of art, they weren't just done willy-nilly. They were done with intent, like you said. They were done because you dug deep and then you played it forward. So please continue.
Thank you, Luz. And I appreciate you for making this space, because at the end of the day, this is why we do it, right? We want to have the dialogue that we didn't always have,
Exactly.
That was purposely, in some parts of our history, kept away from us, for us not to recognize our true greatness. You know what I mean? But I could get into that in another discussion. So let's talk about the 4 A's, right? The 4 A's is acknowledge, right? And I'm abbreviating I'm summarizing what I read from the book from Purvis Taylor. Acknowledge, right? When you acknowledge something, it's making yourself aware of what you're experiencing, right? There's nothing that happens else but acknowledging, like, wow, like this is happening.
And it really happened.
And in that piece, you saw the picture of the muse that I had with a bag covering his face and like almost like suffocating, So in 2020, the news, like brutality after brutality, murder after murder, in the middle of Black men, Black women, Black trans children, and while working and experiencing your friends and family members losing lives to COVID, very real stuff happening, and all over the world too, in Haiti, Nigeria, Israel, Palestine,
Venezuela.
All of that. Yeah. It was really like, oh my goodness, like I lived through this for I've been witnessing this for 30 plus years. It was like an aha moment. I was like, I saw the year when Rodney King happened, and I was like, wow, I was 5 years old. I've been registering this stuff since I was 5. Can you realize what the potential impact could be? So the next A is acceptance, right? Acceptance is not necessarily saying you're okay with what you're experiencing, but acceptance allows you to get back to reality, to me, right? To get back to reality and begin to take necessary steps forward or backwards.
Okay.
Because once you accept what you're experiencing, then you have to make decisions, right? And that leads to the next A, which is articulation. Articulation is, you need to articulate what is necessary for growth. You need to articulate what is stunting your growth, or to grow from that situation,
You kind of reminded me of the Bible verse, ask and you shall receive. So if we're articulating, if I'm understanding you correct, because your series is so moving, but it is like the struggle of a people asking, like, this is what's stunting our growth.
Mm-hmm. And for us, they didn't want us to read. They kept books away from us. They removed specific pages out of the Bible. So like, this is real stuff right here. And there's reasons why it's hard for us to articulate these days. And articulation is so beautiful, because once you're able to articulate it, then that's when manifestation happens. I'm sure this podcast that you decided to have wasn't decided yesterday. I'm sure you had to write it down, and I'm sure you had to say something. You speak it into existence. Understand me? It's loose.
No, I do, and it's funny that you mentioned the podcast, like the space that I created. Everyone's like, "You'll be great as a podcaster." I was like, "Really?" Because I'm a talker, right? And I love bringing things out of people. But yeah, it didn't happen. It didn't happen out of like thin air. It happened because a lot of people were planting that seed in me. And I guess my question for you is, now that you did the series, what is it that you're articulating to the world now? What is what you're hoping to manifest?
What I'm wow, that's a wonderful question. What I'm looking to manifest is create a culture around artistry, because we are all artists. This conversation, this podcast that we're having is an art. The way that you will share it later, the way that you will let people know about it, the way that you'll invite people in the future is an art. And creating dialogue around wellness, you know what I mean? And not being afraid. I want to manifest good trouble. You know how Lewis said, good trouble, conflict. Don't be afraid of conflict that could lead to potential growth. I'm not talking about toxic conflict. I'm talking about sometimes things that we all
necessary conflict. I know what you're getting at.
Dialogue that needs to happen for growth. So I want to manifest a culture where everyone is having those conversations, and then also realizing that, you can manifest and live a life of abundance from yourself. And I think that was removed from us from an early age in history. And then the last A is alchemy, because once you're able to articulate, you can begin to process your thoughts and understand what it is you need to grow, and understand what it is to get to the next level. And then that's when you have the potential and the ability to turn anything you touch, or to chemically align, energetically align gold, and that realization right there is where I think in 2020 was a huge step for me. And I realized I'm speaking from a place of privilege, because not everybody's 2020 experience was the same.
Yeah.
And not everybody's environment was the same, not everybody's opportunity was the same, etc. But that's what I really want to manifest, that everybody can experience this process that I went through in 2020, and and sure with them who they are, and know what their role is on their mission and assignment, and to live their purpose-driven life. That's pretty much what it is with that whole series. And watching it come to life, it literally was, I planned on having it in October, and Sabrina reached out to me and told me like this might be a good idea, because it's definitely along the same theme that, she was planning it with Black Gotham. Shout out to Kamal. And I had the opportunity to submit and have my pieces there for 2 months in the South Street Seaport, in the middle of New York City. I still think about it. It's like I still can't put the words of the gratitude that I have for that. Seeing my family, my dad popped out. Like, it's real when the Caribbeans, when the Haitians pop out. You know what I mean? Because they're always working so hard. They're always, praying for us. They're always really trying to make sure that we are.
But they're doing someone a favor. They're doing someone in the family a favor that's sick. Like I get where you're going. I know when I saw your family and there was hugs, and I'm like taking picture, and you were crying. You were just like so full of emotion, because I got to see you on opening night.
Yeah, Emoji was out that night.
I needed to come on opening night, right? Got the babysitting square. I remember I took pictures on my cell phone that don't do it justice. Send it to my mother. Send it to my husband. Saw it in person, obviously. And thank you. And then I shared it with my group friends. I have a lot of author network, and they're like, "Wow, that was your friend." One of the authors was at the event, and
wow, really?
Yeah, it was so crazy. She's like, "That was your friend? He got the whole wall." Like, all talking about. I'm like, yep, he's that bad, man. He got the whole wall. And like the center of the wall.
Sabrina was like, go big, and that I've exhibited before, but not for this extent and on this scale. Like, those were 3x4 pieces, and
that's huge. Yeah.
literally, and it was a learning experience. It was a humbling experience, and it was a path to reconfirming experience because I literally asked God to just speak through me, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Like, I really feel it, and I feel that I'm moving in a light that has no room for
nothing that serves you.
Mediocrity. You know what I mean? Nothing that serves me exactly.
And I see that. I want to touch on the name of your photography, Shellbair Photo. I know you have shared with me why you picked that name, and I think it's important because it really defines you as a person. And if you could just enlighten me once again. I mean, like, I was singing a song to you when you got it because you look like very dapper. You got the suit and everything.
Yeah,
and here I am, like, t-shirts, hair not done, by the way, guys. I'm not embarrassed to share it. And and please, Gerold, just say what Shellbair is, because you told me once over dinner.
Yeah,
and that was really cool.
Well, Shellbair is I'll take it back. Shout out to my brother Luckner. Back way back. It was where song. Remember the song? So remember the word swag, swagger, swag. Yeah. Jay-Z had the song "Swagger Like Us," and everybody was just using the word swag. And I've always, as if you read my bio and if you see my why, I've always been against the grain person. I've never been somebody to follow waves or like jump onto trends. Like, if I do it, it's because it's funny or something to just laugh about, but never like overused. And I feel like the word swag was being overused at that time. And I'm really Haitian. Like, I really attach to my Haitian culture and my roots. And the word is slang is to replace that word is Shellbair, which is meaning swanky, well dressed, etc. So and it's not just the dress aspect, but it's also your energy that you bring. Like today, you asked me, oh, you're suited up. This is a podcast, but this is how I'm feeling. This is how I'm feeling. This is. I think it has to be rooted with, like, dressing for how you feel. It's not always it's not to impress. It's not to get attention, but it's to just set that tone for the day. And Shellbair was the idea, and I ran with it because it's like, if you look at my logo, there's a tuxedo. It's a tuxedo inside of a focal lens of a camera. So I was very intentional with that, and everything I do with around Shellbair is the same. The energy that I bring to my clients and the service, I really try to under promise and over deliver all the time to my clients, and that's how I moved with that. That's the story of Shellbair.
That's so cute.
So it's not swag photo. It's Shellbair photo.
No, and you do have like this energy about you that it's an aura. It just oozes out of you. I want to know how all your clients see you now, like the clients that know about the exhibit, the clients know your work, because I respect your work. When we met and you didn't even get to do the exhibit, you were talking about your artistry, and I know you've worked so hard so people could see who you are. And do you feel like it's coming through, like people are acknowledging and accepting you for the artist that you are as a photographer?
To be honest, I don't know how this is going to come off, but I'm happy that I just did the exhibit, to be honest. I don't know how people feel about me. I caught myself like having expectations going in, and I removed it immediately to remove any potential disappointments or not having the expectation I want fulfilled. But the peace and the happiness that I have is knowing that I shared this work, and knowing the potential impact. Look at, you said an author that went, you know what I mean? And I don't even know them. It's a different circle. The dialogue that it's going to create, that's where I feel validated, and feel fulfilled, because I know this is bigger than me.
Amen. The reason I ask is because every artist, whether a writer, painter, photographer, sculptor, they have their whys, right? And I love the fact that you touched the why. Yours is focusing on the community, and that's really the heart of it, you know? And from our conversation, I could see that the community, your growth, and what you're asking of the world is your focus. And I think that's what the message people should take. Like when they're gonna go for something, because you work full time. You were working full time when this was happening.
Mm-hmm.
You were
Yes.
working a 9 to 5, sometimes over, and still making things happen. Were there any moments that you're like, why the hell am I doing this? Like I should just be taking a nap.
Um, you know that feeling of why the hell am I doing this? I
Yeah.
was I was sitting and thinking about that a little bit. That feeling is your purpose and within you telling you know that you're greater than this, and you should work on it more. It's not necessarily telling you to leave your job, but it's telling you to find out what you need to learn in that position. And I think that's what kept me there for so long is me asking God, what am I supposed to learn here? What am I supposed to learn? Because sometimes you're put in a situation, you're thinking it's going to be better, and it's not, or the team that you have is not. So then it's like, okay, I'm a believer that I'm truly a believer that everything happens for a reason. So the first thing I asked once I started getting frustrated is, why am I here? What do I need to learn? And what I get from that now when I think about it is patience. I was learning patience there, and communication. I was learning how to communicate what it is I need to get my job done well. And now I can take that same energy and put it into my artistry, put it into my future clients, etc. So to continue to be more successful and more impactful.
I'm glad you talked about that because we both worked full time when we were pushing our businesses. And one thing I tell people is don't think just because you own your own business is going to get any easier. The skill of learning how to communicate and appreciate people, you take that everywhere. So it's so true. And that way you could get what you want out of life.
Absolutely.
I know we're coming to a close and I want to kind of, change it up a bit. Are you down for that? We could change it up.
I trust you. You're not gonna
You
put me on the
trust
spot.
me?
I trust you.
Okay, good. So I want people to know you on a different capacity, meaning like, things you think about. So I usually like to play this game before the end of all my podcasts, asking people questions. And the first thing that pops into your head, I want to hear about it. So without further ado, let's play this game. And this is what it is. So if I were to ask you, what is your dream vacation? What are you going to say?
That's a great question.
Because you traveled a lot. I'm here on the couch and you're traveling. You're posting pics. You're going places.
Stop. I definitely it's somewhere between exploring Africa and somewhere with the Maldives. I really want to visit the Maldives, spend some time out there. I really like water. I really like to reflect. I really like to appreciate nature for what it is and what it gives to us. And yeah, I always find a reset button when I go away. That's one of the things that probably I do for self-care sometimes is, and that I try to do, for self-care is to travel, because one, it's education also. I feel like learning different cultures or spending time with different cultures in different parts of the world is definitely a great form of education, but it's also, for me, through the years, has been a way to disconnect,
Yeah. Disconnect to connect.
Yes, to reconnect. Disconnect to reconnect.
Connect to the source.
Disconnect to reconnect. Yes, yeah. Exactly.
I can't live without. What's that one thing you can't live without?
I can't live without peace. I can't live without peace. So like I'm really radically especially after like some of my experiences, I'm very, very radical about peace and prioritizing peace, because when you're at peace, you have a new level of clarity that allows you to navigate in some difficult territory.
That's so true. My biggest inspiration is, I think I know who they are, but
My biggest inspiration is family and community.
I knew it.
Starting with the root, my parents growing up, and my experiences since then. Community shows up for us time and time again when you really look at it. And I'm blessed to realize that. I'm blessed to have that mindset. I'm blessed to not let my experiences taint or impact that and change who I am.
People describe me as.
Wow. I guess it depends on the space and the circle. But I would say people will always describe me as real. I'm always going to tell you what not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I felt that. I felt that so bad.
From a very young age.
I would describe you as Shellbair. How about that?
I like that. I like that. You got me talking like Khaled. I like that a lot.
Another one.
Say that.
So with that, I want to close this episode. I want to thank you again for joining. But most importantly, I want to thank you for sharing your journey about your exhibit, the work you do, and how important it is to get our community to have the conversations, to have the radical discomfort, but to grow from it. So I want to thank you again and have a great one. Thank you.
Luce, before we leave, can I just leave a message
Yes.
for future guests and followers? It's a question, and it's also, I just want to recap my why as well.
Yes. Go ahead.
My why at the end of the day includes building and leaving a legacy of abundantly sharing knowledge and resources, a legacy where my family and my community and everyone focuses on their personal best and less worried about comparing themselves to others, and understanding the importance of the role that they play and the energy that they bring into the spaces that they fill. A lot of people probably did not know part of my why before listening or reviewing this conversation. So I want to ask everybody else, what is their why, and to focus on that. Someone asked me the other day, like, how do I get started with this? How do I get people to, and the answer is in your why.
Wow, you left me speechless. I mean, this whole episode, you've been like just hitting it. You saw my eyes teary at one point because I just
you almost got me. You almost brought up emoji.
I just kept thinking about you, like in that space, crying. Like I still remember when you held onto your chest. I'm like, is he getting a heart attack? Like there was that moment when you walked into the room where you're like, my images, but like it was.
Yeah, because you walked in with me. And I appreciate you. That means so. You don't understand how much that means. Because like,
no, that was nothing.
Like you said, no. We worked together. We were low key in the trenches together. You know what I mean? And you showing up and outside the gallery, and we walking, both of us walking in there with a couple of our other friends and family. And then seeing it for the first time, you got to see that reaction. And I think my friend recorded it, and it was special because I didn't even know how I reacted until I saw that. And it was just like, I still don't have the words.
No, you did this move. And I think it's so important for us to celebrate those moments. And the reason I keep mentioning it, and I know this whole episode might be just about that moment and the exhibit, but people don't celebrate how they got here. I don't. Sometimes I don't at all. Sometimes I'll celebrate it for 3 seconds, but this is the reason what, impacts us to move forward when we touch another human soul. And you do that time and time again when remember there was this one image when we started being friends that you went to Curlfest, and there was this woman, it was just powerful, like with her afro, her beautiful, like thick, luscious lips, and her like smiling, like you captured it. I always said, damn, Gerold, can you make me look that gorgeous? And you would laugh. And you're like, yeah, for the low price of whatever. But you have talent that you're capturing it. And we need to celebrate that. And I think you're right. I think we do have those moments that we forget how far we've come. And you've come very far, my friend, very far. And now you're making people think in a way that you probably never thought you would.
And I would say, I don't want to keep this any longer. I would say that it's people like you, Luce. I was talking to my girlfriend earlier before about how.
Shout out to the girlfriend. You got a good one. You
Yes.
better invite me, man, because if I find out this man is in a suit and you're in a dress and I'm not there,
Stop.
I'm gonna go with the to-go plate, because that's me. I come get my to-go plate for me and my husband.
And I was telling her like how I was preparing for this, and then how we work together, and how I've seen your growth, and how you've been passionate about what you love and what you believe is true within you, and you have been relentless and resilient. And I know how many no's that you probably had to go through before you had to get to here. So
oh my God, yeah.
I just
I
watching
started counting them
and seeing it, it's just like, it's very motivating. It's very inspirational. And it reminds me, like, when you know what's inside you is true, your conviction will be tested, and you always push through. You've pushed through time and time again. And I trust that you will continue to push through with any obstacle or potential thing that tries to slow you down, because you're on a mission, and you're definitely on that journey, and I see it.
Thank you.
You are seen, Luce. You are seen.
I appreciate the blessing. I need it sometimes. But with that, God, I need to say, like, thank you. God bless you.
God bless you, Luce. Keep shining your light. You already know.
I got you, though. We always gonna be supporting.
What's understood doesn't need to be explained.
Exactly. Amen. And with that, I'm gonna close. Thank you again, Gerold.
Thank you, Luce. Let me know what else you got going on, and I'm looking forward to continuing to supporting you in the future.
All right. Bye.
That brings us to the end of our Inspiration Hour with Luce, and I hope you're feeling unstoppable. If you enjoy our show, please follow me on Instagram or Facebook at LuceMacOfficial, or check out my website at www.luzemac.com. Review, like, and heart us. And don't forget to spread the inspiration with others. And be sure to come back next week as I help you find your inspiration in the little things, one talk at a time.